you
it is
enjoyed the
happening on
holiday?
Saturday noon.
Hmm?
But it is happening Saturday noon.
Yes, ma'am, regarding the marks.
Section B, only one question. Yes, and right now I will clarify why 3 and 4. Just be patient and let me show you the very, very silliest of silly mistake which everyone has done, mostly, bearing very few. If you have a look at this question, particularly this question, which more than 95% of the students have attempted, here you have not read this 3 lines, due to which you have ended up in making or committing a disaster. Most of you have taken GDP MP value as 5,000. But you fail to understand that this GDP MP, which is 5,000, it is a total GDP. But what was the case given to you? Let's take company X, which contributes to the production process in the financial year 21-22, sorry, 19-20. And the following listed items are the head of expenses borne by company X. So that means this expenditure which has been given, this is the data of company X. So you have to find out GDP MP of company X, isn't it? So help company X to understand its contribution to GDP. So this is a one-liner, but this one-liner had a deep meaning. So now how would have been the approach of solving the question? The approach would have been first to compute GDP of company X. So household expenditure, government expenditure, gross fixed capital formation, private capital expenditure, investment, and export and import. So taking all this together, you arrived at the GDP MP value, right? So now this 1475 is the contribution of company X, isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
In an economy, there are so many companies which are producing. So out of that, total GDP is given as 5,000. So what is the contribution? How would you help company X to understand? That means 1475 is just 29.5% of 5,000, isn't it? So now where is the fallacy line? So you want that company X you should as a means the task which has been given to you was you should do something through which you can help company X to increase the contribution to the GDP. Provided, that is why I have used the word provided, the total GDP is 5,000 billion. So most of you started with the calculation of GDP MP as 5,000. इसलिए सारा आंसर गलत हो गया है. Are you getting it? So now if you get 1475 as GDP, then GDP FC will be GDP MP minus NIT. यहाँ पे भी many of them have made a mistake. Time and again I have told NIT means indirect taxes minus subsidies. So that means indirect taxes minus 260 minus subsidies. It would have been rather in bracket 1475 minus indirect tax, that is 260 minus subsidies, which is 140. So if you open the bracket, what you'll get? 1475 minus 260 plus 140, na? So यहाँ पे भी this mistake has happened, despite of telling many times कि bracket, if you want to open the bracket, the minus will become plus. That is what is the commonest rule, the BODMAS rule in mathematics. This is the silliest mistake. So 1355 आ गया GDPFC. Again, from GNP MP will be GDP MP plus NFIA 1725. Then NDP MP, GDP MP minus depreciation 1325. Then NDPFC, NDP MP minus NIT 1025. Then NNPFC, that is NDPFC plus NFIA 1445, which is our national income. That means in terms of the contribution of the company, this calculation which you did, that is only for company X, na? This is not the national income, but rather this is the income of company X. National will be the total, but it is for the data pertains to the company X only, which is a subset of the entire GDP. So now after the calculation, you are supposed to give your conclusion, give your interpretation. So you will say that, madam, kahan pe likha gaya interpretation, interpret karo. Nowhere it is written directly. This statement is good enough for understanding. Help company X to understand its contribution to GDP. So if you're helping company X, that means you are explaining, na, kal ko jaakar, you are recruited for a problem for solving in your company. So your manager asks to help me to understand, find out the loopholes and take up corrective measures. So what you will indirectly, are you not interpreting whatever data you have and coming out with the loopholes? Okay, this are the holes which needs to be filled up. So that is what is an interpretation. And in interviews, they never ask you directly ki interpret karo. They will give you a problem, ask you to come up with a solution. They will not ask solution even. The language will be not that solution though. The language will be help us in terms of getting or reaching our goal. So when the language is help us in reaching our goal, that means that you are paving a path. Now tell me, जिन्होंने ये question attempt किया है, how many of you have done it in this way? And you have got 3, 4, 5. Shreya Sarkar, yes. Yes, Shreya. How much was the score?
6.
6. That means you are good. You are very good. Why you have got 6 means you have missed out the interpretation.
Yes, ma'am.
That is why. But जिनको 3, 4 मिला है उसमें, because of taking it as 5,000 as GDP, तो पूरा ही गलत है, नहीं? So Shreya, the interpretation which you did, it was not mentioned. Nowhere it was mentioned about the interpretation.
Yes, ma'am, I didn't mention.
You only did the calculation. That is why your score is 6. Okay. Anyone else? This question, I knew that this would have been the doubt for many, because apparently across all the sections, bearing very few. Section D may only one girl, Snehal Podar. She has done it correctly. I have put a star mark on that. In your class also, few of them have done it correctly, and one of them was Shreya. But did you find where the mistake was? Taking 5,000 as GDP MP. whereas it was not. Your eye is only concentrated upon taking GDP-MP. Okay, GDP-MP 5,000 दे दिया है, but that is total GDP-MP. Clearly, it is mentioned. It is total GDP-MP, and it is not the GDP-MP of company X. When you compute a GDP-MP of all the sectors, it comprises of company X, Y, Z, n number of companies. तो तुमको जो data दिया गया था, that was of total. But that doesn't mean that it is company X का GDP, ना?
तो मैम इसके बाद एक्चुअली इंटरप्रिटेशन में हमें क्या लिखना चाहिए था?
Yeah, now that is what now tell me how one now you know that company X is contributing only 29.5%.
Yes, ma'am.
So what will be your objective? Your objective this should increase. You
Yes,
want
ma'am.
your company X का performance but better हो. अगर performance better होगा, so this will also increase. So now, which are the indicators which you should concentrate upon in order to increase the contribution? Tell me, what should, for company X, what should you focus on? As far as your data, what should you focus on so that your overall performance will improve? Which is controllable under you, which you can work on. Something which is beyond your control, of course you cannot, but which is controllable, which you can control for your company.
Import export.
Very good. Import export. So you can enhance your level of production. You can promote your level of export. NFIA. You can increase your NFIA in a positive way, which will further increase the level of GDP. You should reduce your inventory. क्योंकि ज्यादा एक कंपनी का इन्वेंट्री रहेगा, इन्वेंट्री इन्वेस्टमेंट रहेगा अगर, again it will suffer, isn't it? So all these things you should increase your tax collection.
Household consumption expenditure we can decrease.
Yes. So all these things, here you are integrating your economic thoughts, economic knowledge into practice. And that is how you help company X to understand. That was the interpretation you should have noted down. Clear? So it is not only about calculation. Of course, calculation is one part. But apart from calculation, another very important part is aligning that with the problem. Every problem numerical, if you are getting, kal ko jaakar your multiplier, whatever multiplier we have done, we will all solve that. So you have to give your interpretation aligning to the solving. And this was a 10-mark question. And your time was around 45 minutes. Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
I think there was a lack of understanding because I can understand across the sections, this part people have not read it out. They directly jump into the numericals. इसलिए सारा problem हो गया. Yeah, Ashish. Ashish, you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I have did same. I did same sequence, but what you have done, but I got only 5 marks.
Okay, I will check it out. Definitely, I will check it out. Ashish, your last 3-digit roll number?
159.
159. Okay. Anyone else?
Ma'am, the short answer, the part one, section A, in section A, I supposed to get 6.5, or with if you give the grace mark 0.5, then it will be 7, but I got only 5.5.
Okay. Fine. Next. Anyone else? Anyone else with issue with this question? Those who have got? As far as this question, those who have attempted and they have got a less score. Anyone have to say something? Okay. Very few have attempted this question on because as I've noted that since this was a 4-sector model and it was not told to you, and those who are attempting will get a bonus mark. Who has attempted for this question? Bhaskar, Snehal, sorry, Sneha, Rishabh, yes, how much is this, and Sharmishta?
Ma'am, we have got 4. I have got 4.
I only got 6.
Ma'am, I have attempted question number 1 and you have given marks in question number 2.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, and I have got 6.
6, Aishwarya. 6 अच्छा मिला है 6. You cannot get 10 now. Because again, it was not completely correct. Yes. तो तुम्हारा मल्टीप्लायर आंसर कितना आया?
Yes, ma'am, I have also got 4.
Sneha, Rishabh, 194 is roll 194. Roll number 194. She raised her hand, but how much you scored? 194 roll number.
194, not there, ma'am. It's 185 and 150.
She just raised her hand, na 194.
Yes, ma'am, Sharada.
Sharda, what was your score? Sharda? She's not saying anything. Okay, I will have a
Ma'am,
look.
my mic is not working. She had texted just now. My mic is not working.
Yeah, Sharda, what was your score? You can mention how much you got. Okay.
She got 5.
Okay. So is it clear? Question number 4, those who have attempted. Again, it was very clearly asked to find out the difference and any 2 points of difference. Relishing a meal in a restaurant, paying as a customer, receiving the paying as a owner. Strictly, it speaks about GDP, market price, and GDP factor cost. That is the difference. You deciding to buy a Japanese car and an Indian car. This one I was discussed in the class 7. This is again the difference between GDP and GNP. Real income, nominal income. Again, one is base year, another is current year. One you are taking as base year price with the current year quantity, another you are taking current year quantity with current year price. One is an adjusted inflation, another is not an adjusted inflation. GDP market price, NNP factor cost. Again, it is national income, the difference between national income and the gross domestic product. And last one was TRAS multiplier and transfer payment multiplier. One is the multiplier impact on income created due to tax collection. Another is multiplier impact on income created due to the transfer payments and transfer receipts. Tax multiplier is an injection to the income. Transfer payment is an leakage to the system, isn't it? So any 2 points of difference you have to explain. Itishri, yes.
I got only 4 marks in this question.
So have you written all this 5 correctly?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I will just have your roll number, Itishri.
171.
Okay. Itishri Parida.
Yes, ma'am. And as you mentioned, I have also mentioned all the 5 points and differentiation. I got only 5 marks.
Okay.
Same, ma'am. I also got 5, ma'am.
Okay. And Aliva.
Yes, ma'am. I think one question in my short answer type was correct. And I think there I was not given marks.
Okay. So hands down. And the last question was enumerate the key highlights of union budget. Given the lessons learned during pandemic, do you think that the budget offered proper solution to the issues faced in the public health and critically analyze? This question, what I have seen, only key highlights, direct copy paste from the net. No lessons learned, nowhere it is written. No proper solution you have mentioned, particularly in health. And you have not critically analyzed. Only key highlights ये जो है and directly same answers सबका. Key highlights of the budget has directly been mentioned. Now tell me, 2 important aspects has been missed out in the question. Any queries with this last question, those who have attempted? Yes, anyone? Question number 5, anyone attempted? Okay then. So I have noted down all those queries of and it will be looked into. So Bhaskar, are we done with the queries? Bhaskar? भास्कर किधर गया? गायब.
मैम डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया होगा. नहीं.
Here only. So please be careful, have a bit patience. And always treat that situation that what you would do if you are in that position. Any situation, that is what is a situational analysis is. Don't treat it as a question. If you treat it as a question, no, you will find out all wrong answers. Treat it as if you are in this position and you are trying to solve that. Then you will see automatically solutions coming to your way. Simple, abhi wo jo question number 2 tha. So simple it is, no? But where did everyone miss the bus? You didn't read. You didn't realize that it is for the company X only. You have to found. So please take it up. Any situational analysis. Apart from the calculation, try to establish a link of that calculation with the given case. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
That last question we can solve here, and which is pertaining to our 4-sector model. And we'll end with that as far as income determination is concerned. So when we add the 4th element or the 4th sector into our model, that means we are expanding into an open economy. We have opened up as for the trade. So when we are opening up for trade, we are taking up export element as well as import element. Here you can clearly see that this M function, it has been given in the form of, again in the form of autonomous and the slope, as we did with C function. So 10 is considered as the constant, which is the autonomous import, MA, and 0.2 is small m, which is nothing but it is the slope of import function. So one can very well make it and understand what does the slope of import function means. That as the country's or nation's income capacity increases, the level of imports also has a tendency to rise. But that doesn't mean that we will use all our resources for importing. We'll try to import only such goods which we require, so that our trade deficit does not increases. So here the equation 0.2 means what? 20% is the amount which is spent on imports. And 10 is what? 10 is the autonomous imports. So now with this information, what you are asked to do? You are asked to find out the C value. Sorry, the Y value, which is the equilibrium income. So in order to calculate Y, again, you have to add all C plus I plus G plus X minus M, right? So now we start with C value, which is 85 plus 0.75 YD. So what is YD? YD is Y minus T, and T value is 100. So C ka value gaya. Okay. I plus I is 300. G is 205 plus X minus M. X minus M is 60. Since we are not given with M value, so we'll put this equation 60 minus 10 plus 0.2y. Clear? So now here tell me, should I put a bracket or not? Again, x minus m. Hankina, BODMAS rule.
Yes, ma'am.
यहाँ पे majority again students make mistake. So if you remove the bracket, तुम्हारा आंसर चेंज हो, ये अभी माइनस हो जाना चाहिए ना? If I remove the bracket, but if I don't take the bracket, it will become what? Plus.
Plus.
So that is how, again, these are very silly things. Maybe in mathematics school level, everybody might have done. But these silly things can end up in making a disaster. And what is the disaster? The disaster will be your y value will be incorrect. Right? So therefore, first of all, whatever information you have, calculation is the simplest thing. कोई हम लोग रॉकेट साइंस कैलकुलेशन नहीं कर रहे हैं, सिंपल कैलकुलेशन कर रहे हैं, बस प्लस माइनस ही. Okay, now y, again many of the students, they don't take this y left hand side में, ये just forget it. But ये y को can you forget? This is 1y actually, no? Can you forget this? It is not possible to forget that. So you have to take it along because you are doing simultaneous solving of equation. If you forget this y, again result cannot be found out, no? So now 85 plus 0.75y, because 0.75 into y, again 0.75 into 100 minus how much? 75? Yes? Yes or no? Plus 300 plus this you can directly add. 300 plus 205, that is 505. Now plus you remove the bracket, 60 minus 10 minus 0.2y. I'm going in a very step-like manner. Very simple steps for the understanding of everyone. I can skip this step. If you are completely convenient, you are expert in terms of doing, you can skip and directly you can get the result. But this is where the troublesome lies, and that is why you come up making mistake. Now, or y is equal to, so what is the known values? 85, 75, 60, 10. कितना आएगा?
565.
565, correct? 565
Plus
then
0.55y.
0.75 minus 0.2y, because these are the unknown values, no? 0.75y and 0.2y. So it will be plus.
Yes, ma'am.
0.75 is greater than 0.25. So sign will be plus. How much?
0.55y.
0.55y.
55y.
Wow. Or y, now you can bring this side. Y minus 0.55y is equal to 565.
Is equals to 1255.55.
Huh?
Y equals to 1.
I is equals to 1255.55.
1.5.
1.55. 1 minus
1255.
1255.5.
Y equals to 565. Then y equals to 1255.55. Yes, ma'am.
This is 1y minus 0.55y. How much?
0.45y.
0.45y.
I'm doing it for the entire class. Let me.
Yes, ma'am.
So y is equal to 565 by 0.45. How much?
1255.55.
So this is our income. Right? तो जिन्होंने किया है problem, despite of the factor that I am giving them score, is your answer 1255.55? Good. So this was the first step. All of you follow. Alok Bhuiyan. Yes, Alok.
Yes, ma'am. I also solved this in this way, ma'am. I got the same answer, but got 4 marks.
Okay. Alok, your roll number
152.
152. ये next में आ रही हूँ. ये खत्म नहीं हुआ. This one question is divided into different parts. Rishabh Jain, yes.
Yes, ma'am, I have received only 6 and got the same answer.
हाँ ये तो half हुआ ना, अभी खत्म कहाँ हुआ?
Yes, ma'am, आगे के भी सारे parts करे हैं मैंने.
अच्छा ठीक है हाँ, let us go forward. So this is over. Next part of the question was the second part of the question was that how much does the level of investment increase as a result of increase in income by 145 crores. So this was the second part of the question. How much does the level of investment increase as a result of increase in income by 145 crores? Calculate K, the investment multiplier. So what you have to find out? You have to find out the change in I, provided what? Income has increased by 145 crores. That means change in Y is given as 145 crores. So is it clear? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
So how does the level of investment, how much does the level of investment increase as a result of income by delta, that is 140. So delta Y is 145.
Yes,
How to find out K? K is
delta
equal to
I by delta y.
delta I by delta Y, right? Otherwise, K value, how we can find out? 1 by MPC. 1 by 1 minus MPC is equal to MPS, ना? क्या formula था? What is the formula of K? Alternative formula of K.
I'm 1 divided by 1 minus MPC.
So 1 divided by 1 minus MPC. So that is 1 by 1 minus 0.75. So that is 1 by 0.25, which is equal to how much? 1 by 0.25 is equal to? I'm in my class.
I'm 4.
4. So 4 times is the multiplier. Okay. So now you can replace this over here. So K is equal to delta I by delta Y. So 4 is equal to delta I by delta Y is 145, or delta I is equal to
580.
45 into 4. 580. Done. This part is over. Everybody, are you following?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to the third part of the question. The third part of the question was, what if the net export increases by 40 crores? So what if the net export increases by 40 crores? So again, now how to solve this? So what we'll do, there are two processes of doing it. Either you compute directly the formula of FTM. So what was the direct formula of FTM?
One by 1 minus B plus M.
1 by 1 minus B plus small m. That was the direct formula.
Yes, ma'am.
So 1 by 1 minus 0.75 plus 0.2. So what is the value? How much? So 2.22 is your foreign trade multiplier. Now, after calculation, there are two ways of doing this. How you can do it? Either you calculate y is equal to only c plus I plus g. This is an old method. Another y you find out as c plus I plus g plus x minus m. So you will get delta y from this. Delta x, how much you are getting? 40. Because net export increases by 40 means it is net export. The change in net export is 40. So the formula of foreign trade multiplier is change in net export. What impact does it have on income? As in case of investment multiplier, we had delta I by delta Y. Government expenditure multiplier, delta G by delta Y. Similarly, foreign trade multiplier due to net export, delta NX by delta Y. So in this way also you can find it out. Or this is the direct, if you want to go in an easy method, use direct this method to get the result. Now, after you have calculated all, you give your interpretation on the basis of result derived. That is what is the last part of the question. Now, from your results, what can we interpret? What does the result 2.22 means? What does the result 2.22 means? .2 times, that is the times. The times to which foreign trade them, because it is a multiplier impact. So 2.22 times is not a good, because the difference is what? You got the value of export. After getting the value of Y, by replacing that, you can get the value of imports. Yes or no? We can 1225 with the get the result, no? So if you replace that in our import equation, you can get the import value, na? What is the import value here? N plus 0.2 multiplied by 1255.5. So what is the value of imports? 10 plus 0.2 multiplied by 1.22 into 5. So what is the M value?
$261.11.
61.11. Export कितना है? 60. So don't you think it is a negative impact? Trade balance is negative because import is 261, export is 60. What can you conclude?
Negative.
There is a trade deficit
Deficit.
or a trade surplus?
Deficit.
There is a trade deficit. And that is the reason of having a lower multiplier impact. The multiplier impact is only 2.22. That means, is this very high number? It could have been 40, it could have been 10, it could have been 20. The multiplier impact could have been more. But it is just 2. Why? The reason is there is a negative impact of trade. Your import, the country is making more imports rather than that of your exports. That is the reason why the multiplier impact is too less. So that is how you can come to a conclusion from that. Okay. So this is all about your 4-sector approach. And generally, in the exam also, you are expected to get 4-sector models in terms of calculations, provided with a background of a case. And you have to, it is not only about calculating, जो लोग बोल रहे कि पूरा calculation कर दिए खत्म, but it is not only about calculating, it is moving one step ahead, that what does your result imply and how can you help that economy to improve. Then only it is complete. खाली calculation करके छोड़ दिए तो that does not mean anything. You are not giving any meaning to that. Okay.
मैम एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट का जो चेंज देता है वो हरदम सेपरेट करके देता है, मतलब कभी x माइनस m चेंज इन x माइनस m ऐसे करके नहीं देता है.
Sorry, I mean,
Ma'am, I said that the export import change which is asked in the question, it is always given in separately, like change in x only, change in m only. Then it is not given in together from like x minus m, change of that x minus m, like net export import change.
Here it is given as the value of net export. So net export means x minus m. Net export means net export means x minus m, na? The formula of net export is
But then
x
here you are
minus m.
taking only del x equals to 40, means only export, change in export.
Then you are taking only export. Then in that case, you are measuring the export multiplier, not the foreign trade multiplier. See, going by the concept which we did for the 4-sector model, in that case, either it is export multiplier or it is foreign trade multiplier. If it is foreign trade multiplier, then it is both export and import. But if it is export multiplier, it is only export. That is what is the difference.
Yes, ma'am, I got it.
See, in this function, which I shared just a minute. So if it is the case of export function, no, you are taking it as a export multiplier because it is due to export. But it happens due to export as well as import. So export multiplier will be only 1 by 1 minus. This is the direct formula, which is same as your K. That is your investment multiplier. Formula same. But again, if you are taking import function, na, when you are incorporating import function, it is foreign trade multiplier. Because foreign trade multiplier not only includes export, but also imports. इसलिए मैंने जो that formula which I was giving you right now, that was a foreign trade multiplier. Because in case of foreign trade multiplier, I am taking change in net export divided by change in income. So when I'm taking change in net export, it is what? It is X minus M. But
Yes, ma'am.
only when I am taking export, if it is only export multiplier, iska formula how would have taken? In case of only export multiplier, it would have been change in X
X,
due to
Y,
change in Y.
Y.
That is the difference. Clear? So you take export in one case, another one you don't take export. यहाँ पे we have taken C plus I plus G plus X. That means it is only export. So you compute one with C plus I plus G. Another you compute with C plus I plus G plus X. And then you find out the change in X and change in Y and get the export multiplier. But if you want to find out foreign trade multiplier, because foreign trade multiplier includes both export and import. The difference between export and import are to be taken up in terms of the foreign trade multiplier. So here net export we are taking, not the export. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes,
everyone? So in that way, you have to make your calculation. Any question? Hello,
No, ma'am.
Siddhant?
Yes, ma'am.
शांतनु, शिवानी, बाकी सब सो गया है. किसको भी मतलब third semester, are you coming to institution? Huh?
Yes, ma'am. We will come.
Already fourth wave has come. What is that? Already फिर से आ गया. Again this prediction, which was So is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
What has been your throughout this first semester, second semester, and heading towards third semester with your internship and going to very soon start with your career with placements just after 3 to 4 months? Till now, what has been the receptive abilities, retention, attention, retention? Very often interviews, they ask very commonest of common question. Tell me about something about yourself. Huh? Tell me something about yourself. Yes.
फोन करने से और भी बढ़ रहा है
Sonali mute.
ये तो कैसे हो रहा है
Sonali. When this sort of question is asked, what do you usually respond? I am so and so, I am doing so and so, till now I have completed with this. Till now, so many things I have read. Hana? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
This is completely wrong. Why it is wrong, you know? Why it is wrong?
Because they already
Because they already have
in the
our
CV.
CV with them.
Hmm?
It's
And because
already
they
in the
already
resume
have
ma'am.
our CV with them.
Exactly. And then what should be your response? Always remember the employees are there, those who are the employer. They will be interested to know that what you can do for them rather than what are you. If you remember this, you have arrived. Because let us be very practical. The very objective why the employers hire you is what you can do for them. So you have to give your introduction in such a way so that you can match your potentials to cater to their requirement. So the way of introducing yourself is not starting with that I am Alibha Mishra, I am pursuing my MBA with so and so, my specialization is so and so, I'm good at so and so. No, never do that. Rather try to look into the company, because before that, everyone gives you a wrong job description, JD. Try to align your strength with the requirement of the companies. This is the first and very important step to make an entry into the home and heart of the place of the employers. Clear? So I hope your perspective, your perception of introducing yourself will undergo a change. Now at least you will not introduce yourself as who are you and what are you doing. Rather than try to introduce yourself, what the company or what the organization can benefit due to you. Okay. So should we read more? Should we continue with our money? Money, everybody wants money. I will take up a very interesting form of discussion. This is not teaching. Don't treat it as teaching. Let us orient it as a discussion. Another 20-25 minutes. A healthy discussion. And I want your response. What is money? Yeah. Everything bolne se kya? Again.
Anything that can be bought using that.
What you want to bring using what?
Like anything that can be bought using that piece of paper that is provided by the government.
Okay, but money is not now piece of paper also. How do you define now? Sorry?
Money is happiness, ma'am.
Money is happiness. Again, Aritra went into a different zone of happiness, making it comfort, buying peace of mind. Yes, my money buying peace of mind. Yes. Agree, disagree? Money buying happiness. These are again a different perspective of visualizing money.
It can be both, because without money one can't be happy, and with money there is always a tension that where either to earn more, or else there must be a tension of कहाँ रखूं, या फिर कोई गायब हो जाएगा, चोरी हो जाएगा, some kind of things, sort of things. Everybody has this. Black money is the ultimate happiness, because legal money कोई खर्च नहीं करना चाहता, ठीक है. व्हाइट मनी हमेशा हर कोई ब्लैक मनी के ऊपर ही देखता है,
क्योंकि उसमें टैक्स देना पड़ता है अभी.
एग्जैक्टली.
So money for an economy, ये तो अपना individual perspective हो गया. For an economy, what is the role of money?
Money is the medium of exchange for any, so that we can buy any goods and service.
This is the primary role of money. Going by the current scenario of which is going through as by the Sri Lankan economy, what do you notice? What has been happening?
Ma'am, can you repeat?
Current situation, crisis in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
What has happened?
Ma'am, due to this
Inflation is high.
Due to this
Value of
pandemic,
money. Value of money declined. Economy is struggling.
Ma'am, basically the currency of Sri Lanka has been decreased due to their foreign reserve. They have already spent a lot of foreign reserve, and because all of the economy of the world is depend on the foreign reserve of the company,
So
of the country.
Okay, very good, Pratyush. So why Sri Lankan economy have to use its reserve? हम लोग reserve किससे रखते हैं? Reserve is our last हथियार.
Yes, ma'am.
Isn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
So, well, what has happened to the velocity of money? All those science students, you might have studied a term called velocity. What is velocity? What is velocity?
Time.
Velocity is constant. Bhaskar? What is velocity? Speed along with the number of times, isn't it?
Yes.
So in case of what is velocity of money? The speed and the number of times money exchanges hands. What is the circulation of money in an economy? So in that sense, if you look into Sri Lankan economy में हालत क्या हुआ? Velocity of money has declined due to lack of economic activities. So when there is no economic activities, ultimately the money will suffer. So it has to use what? It has to use the reserves. So as Pratyush mentioned, Sri Lankan economy धीरे-धीरे अपना reserves use कर रहा है. So if there will be no circulation of money and you are entirely depending upon your reserves, एक दिन वो reserve भी खत्म हो जाएगा. So you want
Ma'am,
to fill
can you
in your...
explain? Ma'am, can you explain the velocity of money again?
velocity of money is usually used in which the number of times a unit of money is changing hands during a period. That is what is speed. Speed means how quickly money exchanges hand, and the frequency. So how this will enhance? Only then when there are a lot of economic activities. Only in an economy when the level of economic activities increases, then only the velocity of money will increase or not.
Yes, ma'am.
And stagnant economy, an economy which is subject to war, an economy which is subject to high lot of disaster, an economy which is subject to a pandemic, its velocity of money will be more or less.
Less.
Less. So therefore, velocity of money is essentially a very important scenario which will classify that what is the role of money, because the life of money looks very simple when it is moving. But when money becomes stagnant in an economy, and money can be stagnant due to n number of reasons. As you saw, economy of Sri Lanka, money has become stagnant because there is no addition. There is rather subtraction. People of that economy have to consume because that is the primary role. Now, how the Sri Lankan government will feed its population if it is not having any economic activities? That is the reason it is increasing prices now, because it wants to increase the circulation of money. People will consume, and that is creating an inflationary pressure. The same staple food, rice, pulses, vegetables, the prices of the same items, it has increased by more than 5 times. Why? Because the government needs money. Because when people are spending, again the money will come to the government through inflation. That is the reason why again government charges on increasing prices. And the burden lies on the consumer. That is how the government shifted the incidence from itself to the consumer by increasing prices. And through this, they try to keep money moving. So keeping it just moving is what is velocity. Velocity of money, if it's stagnant, then money is not moving. So in that sense, what about the actual economy where the countless number of people are using different units of money, maybe for small or big transactions? And how do we actually calculate the velocity of money in a real economy? And when we are addressing a real economy, then we have to come across the real type problem, isn't it? When can I address a real economy? Only when if I try to resolve those real-time issues, real-time problems, then it will be a real economy. So in a nutshell, to answer this question, let me bring upon certain incidences of real economy, which will provide an answer to this query. And this worksheet is for practice. So when you are dealing with velocity of money and its impact on the economic scenario, due to several instances, either the outbreak of COVID-19, depreciation of INR against USD, rate cuts by RBI and Fed, which is the Central Bank of US, banks lowering the interest rates, countries following a recessionary situation, a fall in crude oil prices, and going by the current situation, a rise in crude oils, and a war-like crisis. Now, this is a small worksheet. Apply your analysis. What will be the effect on money supply due to this crisis? What is the impact? And what solution you can bring? Can we work on this to answer the question about the velocity of money? Hello?
Velocity will be low when there is an outbreak of COVID-19.
So particularly, I'm taking the situation of outbreak. Now possibly things have materialized, but when COVID-19 initially it took a shape, the immediate impact on money was it decreased. The immediate impact on money supply was, and impact was, so when money supply decreased, the value of money also reduced. What was the impact?
Velocity will decrease.
Okay, velocity will decrease. Impact was the government tried to resort to reduce interest rates. If you have noticed, the central bank in US, in Japan, they have gone for a lower interest rate. Repo rate was reduced. Even it became negative. Whose time newspaper, it would have come across, everyone come for a negative repo rate. As a result of which, investment was increased. Government expenditure increased. There was increase in transfer payments. Tax collection, tax was reduced, or more or less it remained stable. So that was what the solution they brought as far as a cause was concerned. So this is what is integration of the supply of money and its velocity with a given situation. Clear? Similarly, when depreciation of INR against USD, there are so many causes when INR depreciates. So what will be the consequence? What will be the effect on the money supply? Ritishri,
Yes, ma'am.
what will be the effect on money supply? Depreciation. Depreciation means value of INR is decreasing to US dollar. You can
Income from the export will decrease.
decrease or increase. Let's take a simple situation. As far as import part is, M stands for import. As far as import part is concerned, few months back, $110 per barrel. Now, $140 per barrel. That means when I'm importing, I'm paying $30 more. So my import bills are increasing. So if my import bills are increasing, the value of money decreases, velocity of money decreases. Right?
Now, ma'am, income from the export will be decreased.
Increase, not decrease. Look into the export side. India is one of the major exporter of refined oil. See, we produce petroleum, we produce diesel, we don't produce crude oil, but we refine them and we export that. So earlier, let's take it was 90 rupees per liter. Now it is 120 rupees per liter. So when you export, you gain 30 rupees. Isn't it? Yes or no? You're gaining 30 rupees, na? At the exchange rate of what? Suppose earlier exchange rate of $1 was equivalent to 72. Now $1 is equal to 75. So am I not gaining while I'm exporting?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm gaining 3 rupees more because when I'm exporting, I'm getting in dollars and dollar value is how much? The value has increased. But if I'm paying, I'm losing.
Losing. So, ma'am, we can say that the export value is inversely proportional to the velocity of the money.
Inversely, not directly.
Correct.
Directly.
Ma'am,
Because when because the cause is depreciation. Now, when there is depreciation, exports becomes cheaper. यहाँ पे depreciation हुआ ना, पहले $1 was 72. Now $1 is 75 INR. That means which currency has depreciated?
US.
Yes, say US. INR. Now
INR.
you are paying now 3 rupees more for the same $1.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yes.
तो किसका वैल्यू कम हुआ?
Rupees का.
रुपीस का कम हुआ ना. So that is what is depreciation means. अगर $1 would have been say now 70. That means your currency has appreciated.
Yes.
Because you are now paying less, 2 rupees less to get the same $1. So the situation which was given to you was depreciation of INR against USD. Depreciation means this is what the situation is. Previously, it was $1 was 72. Now $1 is 75. That means INR has depreciated. So when INR depreciates, what will be the impact on money supply? That is the situation. Now are getting it? Yes, Bhaskar. See, it is not only, we are increase our exports. It is one of the reason of factors affecting exchange rate. But other drivers like the situation like of war, the inflationary pressure, change in government policy, interest rates which are imposed, trade deficit, other market forces. You have studied about the market forces, no? So in an economy, particularly those who follow where market forces are responsible for appreciation and depreciation, export is one of that market force. Increase in export is one of that market force. But that doesn't mean that if it is increasing, exchange rate बढ़ जाएगा. Main कारण exchange rate बढ़ने का means depreciate होने का कारण है increase in crude oil. That is the biggest factor. When crude oil price increased, currency will depreciate. When gold price increase, currency will depreciate. When the economy faces an inflationary pressure, currency will depreciate. When the economy goes through a stagnancy in production, currency will depreciate. See, any factors which will reduce the demand for your currency, that means your currency will depreciate. We'll learn about this in detail while I go through the exchange rate chapter. There is a very important chapter which is remaining. But in the meantime, I think this much of answer is good enough. That it is not only one reason why countries' currency appreciate or depreciate. There are multiple factors. Export is just one of the factors. Yes, Ashish, and then
Ma'am, here my question is why we comparing our currency with dollar? Because we are exporting or importing crude oil on the basis of dollar. That's why we're comparing our rupee with dollar.
Exactly. See, world view currencies are treated as given with the standardized right of being treated as a base currency, like US dollar, pound, then sterling, pound sterling, Japanese yen, franc. These are some of the currencies which are stable. Usually when it is stable, then only they are taken as a comparative index. So that is why usually when exchange rate is done, it is done through dollar as a base currency. But that doesn't mean that we do not transact in other currencies. India has SDRs, right? What is this SDR? SDR are special drawing rights. And this SDRs, that is a composition of many basket of foreign currencies and powerful foreign currencies. It includes your yen, it includes your pound, it includes your euro, it includes your franc, it includes your dollar. So whatever countries' currencies are powerful, everybody wants to hold them as a part of your XDR in the form of forex reserves. Okay, that means if I'm having more of a currency which is powerful, my foreign exchange value will be more. So there are reasons that why many countries consider usually US dollar is still now treated as a base currency.
How it will be determined that currency is more stronger or our currency is less
See, I will take you through. Please, Ashish, just you have to wait for that moment when we'll take up the exchange rate. I will directly make you through the exchange rate website, and I will show that on what basis the currency is useful. But thing is that macroeconomics has such a wide thing for understanding. It is really difficult to put it in within this 20 sessions.
Okay, ma'am.
I will answer your question because it requires a detailed intervention into the exchange rate module. When I'm going, just hold on to your question till that time.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sure you'll get the answers because it requires a bit of time.
Yes,
okay, Aliba.
Yes, ma'am. I was asking that which one is favorable, whether it is depreciation or appreciation, because ma'am,
it is not. Which one is favorable? It is not that appreciation is a good thing and depreciation is a bad thing. No.
So yes, ma'am. That's why I'm asking that while there is depreciation, we see that we are having a good export because we are getting good amount of money, and while there is appreciation, we are getting the imports at a cheap rate. So then, which should be a favorable thing? Which one we should follow?
Favorable. It is not that which one we follow. It is we are not following a kind of fixed exchange rate system. Again, I will come to this point while I take up exchange rate. Which one should we follow should depend upon our economic situation.
Okay.
As I said, this one should be followed, this one should not be followed. Again, I am wrong. I should see the context. If I want to promote my trade, for that situation, export promotion का basis है currency depreciation. If I want to restrict my trade, that means I want to restrict exports. Sorry, I want to restrict import. Again, for that system, appreciation of the currency is a good mechanism. So it all depends upon what you want. ऐसे नहीं कि कौन सा favorable है. It is nothing that you cannot put them into watertight compartments. कि this is favorable and this is not. Again, there is a limit to depreciation. To what capacity your country can absorb depreciation. Can you say that your dollar value till 76, 77, 78, will India allow that to fall its rupee value? You will say that, okay, export अच्छा हो जाएगा. But should we allow to fall it beyond 77? No. If you're allowing them to fall below 77, again, it is not a good thing because it will not promote growth. तुम्हारा जो objective है to reach 5 trillion economy, you will not reach that. Again, that is the disadvantage. So depending upon the situation, one has to decide depreciation and depreciation and appreciation of a currency is not in the hand of the government. It is all depending upon market. That is why market forces are responsible for depreciation and appreciation. Market forces कौन-कौन है? तुम्हारा demand and supply factors को जो affect करेगा वही market forces है. You have understood basic microeconomics. What are the factors affecting demand and supply? And here we are dealing with demand and supply of currency. वहां पे तुम लोग deal कर रहे थे demand and supply of goods. Right? So again, whatever factors will affect demand and supply of a currency, that will determine the exchange rate. Okay, so we'll learn about that consequently. So these are some of the, please work on this, complete this worksheet. Next class we'll go ahead with that. Again, I'm uploading in your Google Drive. Under the different situation, 2 situation we have already discussed. There are 4 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means a fall case as well as a rise case and a war. So 6 situation more are there. So under this situation, how will the money supply be affected? Give your reasoning to this. Yes, RBI reserves. Reserves means कौन सा reserves? Which reserves yet? हाँ. See again reserves for means if RBI is increasing foreign reserves, this is aiding to your circular flow or not? Again, RBI का reserves भी stagnant नहीं रहता है. That amount of reserves is again used. So that will affect appreciation and depreciation. Reserve रहता है only in pen and paper. But actually that reserves, to what extent they are used, 5% छोड़ के कितना amount use करते हैं for circulation of credit creation. So there are many factors which are affecting appreciation and depreciation. And these are all macroeconomic factors. We call them as the macroeconomic factors. Inflation, recession, change in government policy with respect to tax, with respect to expenditure, with respect to fixing up an interest rate, geopolitical tensions. This is a cause for appreciation and depreciation. War, a pandemic, this is a cause for appreciation and depreciation. trade deficit. This is a cause for appreciation depreciation. So you are looking what is happening in an economy. उसके हिसाब से you are relating how they are affecting appreciation and depreciation. Suppose एक country में ज्यादा trade export आया, it will of course affect appreciation of our currency, no? As Bhaskar that time mentioned, India में exports now it has increased because our CAD limit. But after this Ukraine-Russia war, suddenly the CAD limit has increased from 1.3% of GDP to 2.3% of GDP. Why? Because suddenly our import bills have increased. So when import bills have increased due to the increase in the crude oil prices, don't you think that our currency will depreciate? This is the reason for depreciation. Okay, so you will go deeper into these facts in our exchange rate chapter. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has noted. And Bhaskar, for today's class, even though we started with a student strength of more than 45, but only this 37 student will be marked as present. Those who have left, please mark them as absent. This is a high degree of, again, indiscipline which you are showing. Of course, in our due course of economic concepts only we are discussing, and we'll discuss that. We'll keep that going. See, वहां से ही तो हम लोग concept borrow करके we are relating ना. That is how economics is fun. Because you are relating the concepts with whatever is going on. Of course, we will continue with that. Okay. So Bhaskar, 37 students, please mark them present. Rest are absent. And sorry for keeping you waiting for your Saturday.
Ma'am, I just rejoined. Ma'am, I got disconnected.
Fine. If you got disconnected for a short time, it is okay. But those who have already dropped out did not be there. Okay, 38 students. Bhaskar's 38 students. Okay then, take care. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
See you in the next class.
Thank you, ma'am.
With the-
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.